Now this is something unique to Sri Lanka. It's a tsunami photo museum. Because the 2004 tsunami was unique as well. And there's some wonderful photographs inside which I'll show in a minute. And this man lost his two nephews in the tsunami, and dedication he set up this. He built this out of his earnings from fishing. And inside are hundreds and hundreds of photos of the tsunami. Very unique to Sri Lanka. So we're in the area that was worst affected by the tsunami. Here's a map showing Australian tsunami in 2004. These are pictures of the tsunami when it hit this area. Thousands of people were killed.
It's a busy day at the Mbalangota train station. The number 50 Matara Express, meaning Queen of the Sea, has just pulled up to the platform, fully loaded with passengers. The 8-carriage train carries around 1,700 passengers traveling from Sri Lanka's largest city of Colombo to the city of Galle on the southern part of the island. It is Sunday, December 26, 2004, Boxing Day. For most passengers, however, today is Poya Day, a Buddhist holiday celebrating the full moon. Many use the opportunity to travel down south to some of the country's beautiful resorts. The train is so packed that the doors can't be opened. Station personnel is on the platform helping passengers board the train. Keeping up with the schedule is not something Sri Lanka Railways is famous for, but the staff is trying their best to see off the train as soon as possible. Busy with the job, no one hears the phone that keeps ringing inside the station office. A couple of minutes later, all passengers are boarded, and the journey continues. 7 miles south of Mbalangota, the train is forced to stop. It is surrounded by water. The unanswered call from earlier was the main dispatching office, warning of an approaching tsunami. The devastating wave was caused by an undersea 9.3 megathrust earthquake northwest of the island of Sumatra, Indonesia. The tsunami eventually struck the coasts of Indonesia, Thailand, Sri Lanka, India, the Maldives, and even the distant African country of Somalia. Unfortunately, the Queen of the Sea engineer didn't receive the warning on time, and the train is now stuck on the tracks in the small village of Peraliya. Here, the railway runs only 220 yards from the coastline. The first tsunami wave had already flooded the area, even though it wasn't as bad as what was to come. The train can't continue the journey, nor can it go back. The passengers are confused and unaware of the impending danger. Then, the second wave hits the coast. A torrent of seawater breaches through the palm trees and slams the train. It starts flooding the densely packed carriages. Passengers inside begin to panic as the water level increases with each second, reaching their necks. It's complete chaos inside. People are trying to leave the carriage in any way they can. Many of them are trying to reach the roof above the waterline. Villagers from Peraliya also rush to climb the train in hopes of escaping the incoming water. Then the water level suddenly drops as the sea begins to recede. It brings a sigh of relief, but only to those that have never witnessed a tsunami. The receding water is nothing more than an indicator of an incoming wave that sucks up the water before it strikes. 10 minutes later, the third and largest wave arrives. A wall of water covering most of the horizon rumbles toward the train. People inside and on top of the carriages watch the incoming wave with horror as it swallows everything in its path. There is absolutely nothing they can do. This tsunami is one of the most devastating disasters in history. At first, about 2 hours after the earthquake, a small flood inundated the southeastern coast of Sri Lanka. The subsequent tsunami hit the coast facing the epicenter first. Moments later, the water receded, exposing the seafloor as far as 1,000 yards from the coastline. The wave then refracted around Dondra Head, the island's southernmost tip, and struck the southwestern coast. Even though it is on the other side of the island, this area suffered heavy destruction. The tsunami carried away everything in front of it, flattening trees, houses, and entire villages. The village of Peraliya, just 200 yards away from the sea, was hit by the first wave at 9:30 a.m. The water inundated the town and raised the alarm among its inhabitants. Many of them rushed toward the train, looking for safety on top of it. Others hid behind the carriages, believing the weight of the train would be enough to withhold the force of the tsunami. As it hit, passengers inside the train were still confused about what was going on. It was only the second wave that threw them into panic. The water breached into the compartments, filling them up to the passengers' necks. The lack of space inside the train overflowing with passengers made things even more difficult. People started to push each other as they tried to reach the exit. With 1,700 passengers and only 8 carriages, it was impossible to get out. The third wave was fatal. According to post-tragedy assessments, the wave was up to 29 feet tall, 9 feet above the top of the train. It was so powerful that it pushed the engine and the carriages off the track and smashed them against the nearby houses. The villagers who were hiding behind the train were killed on the spot. The wave carried the train like a toy. Once the water receded, the rescuers found the engine 100 yards away from the tracks. The agony of those inside the train didn't last long. The waves simply swallowed them. Confined in the submerged train, they had zero chance of surviving. Everything was over in just a couple of minutes. In place of a village, there was now a sea of dead bodies, baggage, trees, and building debris. 99% of the Peraliya population was killed, and almost all of the passengers aboard the Queen of the Sea. Only a couple of passengers and a train conductor, who stood on the top of the train when the third wave hit, survived the wreck. The authorities knew nothing about the train's location at the moment of the tsunami impact, let alone its ill fate. Later that day, an Army helicopter spotted the floating train, but it took an entire day for emergency teams to reach the scene. The whole region suffered a cataclysm. The Boxing Day Tsunami had a devastating effect, claiming around 228,000 lives, nearly 170,000 in Indonesia. Sri Lanka was second to that, with 36,000 people losing their lives in the flooding. The local emergency service was dispersed throughout the area, rescuing people and removing dead bodies. Within a week, the military and the emergency teams had begun an organized cleanup of the scene. They managed to recover only 900 bodies from the scene. The rest were either taken by family members to be buried or were washed out to sea. From Peraliya, bodies were taken to a hospital in the town of Bentota, where they were packed in rows on the hospital's forecourt. The identification of the victims was extremely difficult, and in the end, about 200 people remained either unidentified or there was no one to collect their bodies. They were buried in a Buddhist ceremony in a mass cemetery near the place where the tsunami hit the train. The cleanup operation was finished in 2005, with the entire area cleared of debris and the train removed from the scene. A part of the train wreck was displayed at the Community Tsunami Museum opened in Peraliya. The engine, however, was completely restored and put back into service on the Colombo-Galle railway line. In memory of the tragic events it experienced, a wave motif was painted on its side. Train conductor Wanakaratni Karunateleki, who survived the tsunami, returned to his job on the line where on Boxing Day 2004, he almost lost his life in the greatest railway disaster in the history of the world.
This relief shows the devastation and destruction of the tsunami. Over 300,000 people killed, and over 40,000 people killed in Sri Lanka alone, and 6,000 people missing, never recovered, washed out to sea. The interesting thing is we just drove past this. This is the memorial to the tsunami victims. You wouldn't know it existed. There's no signpost, no notice. It's done in black and greys and browns. You drove straight past it. And this is the memorial, the only memorial. Unbelievable. We drove past it about 5 minutes ago.
Guess who's this? Who's this?
These are a grave of unclaimed bodies. Unbelievable. This is a picture of the Gaul fort that we passed this morning, showing where the tsunami came up past the fort and past the Buddha statue and across the road. You see the destruction from the tsunami. Boxing Day 2004. Dead bodies were unloaded at Bentota Hospital. Here's the bloated bodies washed ashore. All the dead bodies unclaimed, unidentified. This boat was washed up from Gaul Harbour. More than 60 foreigners were killed, amongst the 300,000 were killed along the coasts of Indonesia, Sri Lanka, India, Thailand. Just arrived in a Hungerman. There's an ambulance going the other way because there's always traffic accidents here. They drive crazy. It's Sunday afternoon, just after 3 o'clock. Traffic's picked up. It was quiet this morning. Blue bus is alright. It's the red buses you've got to be careful of. Just eating some prawn done in breadcrumbs, it looks like. Very nice, very. Now we just pulled over to the turtle hatchery. Just arrived at a turtle hatchery and rehabilitation farm. Never over in the distance looking at the turtles. It cost 1,000 rupees, which is about $4 to enter. So hatchery says in every egg is a life. So this is not a graveyard. This is the hatchery. Wherever the signs are, there's eggs ready to be hatched into turtles. These are the sea turtle eggs. They're about the size squash ball. There's a sign on every sea turtle egg explaining where it's from, which turtle.
Sri Lankan has 5 species sea turtles. They are named green turtle, olive redley, loggerhead, hawksbill and leatherback. These are the 5 species.
There's 7 in the world and you have 5 of the 7.
That's 5 of Sri Lanka.
Very good.
Every sea turtle lays eggs at night time. Night time they come into our beach. She dig in the hole like a half-meter length. Then it start lay the eggs. One time one female turtle lay the eggs 100 to 200 eggs. After she cover that hole going back to the ocean. That's why female turtle come in only laying eggs. But night time some fishermen working there, they collect them eggs after hand over here. But we have to buy them eggs for fishermen. Otherwise some people eat them eggs.
Okay.
That's why we have to buy them.
Eat them like a chook's egg,
Yes.
chicken's egg.
Yes. That's why we have to buy them. Our main target is sea turtle conservation and research center. Every sea turtle we have to protect.
Okay. Okay, they take 2 months to hatch and then they're released in the ocean. So the sand temperature determines the gender of the sea turtle. If it's sand is very hot, you get a girl turtle, and if it's cooler, you get a boy turtle. The majority of turtles that are born are female.
Where they born, they will come to the same place lay the eggs.
Okay. So the female turtles return to the same place
Same.
to lay their eggs.
But female turtle start lay the eggs 30 years later.
When they're 30 years old.
Yes, 30 years old they start lay the eggs until life. They'll live more than 100 years old.
They live more than 100 years, so they've got about 70 years of laying eggs.
Yes.
But most of the eggs are lost but here they're recovered by some of the fishermen and sold to this rehabilitation. This is the life cycle of the turtle. If they're left to their own means, only 1 in 1,000 turtles will survive. That's why they're looked after in this rehabilitation farm. So the sea turtles have natural predators like the sharks, the pelicans or birds on the beach, and floods. Also have human threats, fishing gear directly being harvested, hooks being hit by a boat, etc. So here the turtles are protected and hatched. The tank here is a 30-year-old turtle. It's not very big.
Disabled turtle.
It's a what?
Disabled turtle. Disabled.
Oh, it's disabled turtle, so it's been cared for, this tank. And the 1,000 rupee that I pay for entry is used as a donation to look after these turtles. The turtle hatchery uses 25 kilos of fish every day to feed the turtles. This turtle has a missing arm which was caught up in a net. This turtle also lost an arm because it got tangled in a fishing net, so it's being rehabilitated here.
And she cannot go under the water.
Can't go underwater, so it's stuck under surface.
She's always...
Here we have a good view of the green turtle.
She's around 6-7 years old.
It's about 6 or 7 years old.
Because she has a fishing hook inside the mouth.
It's been rehabilitated because they have a fishing line in its mouth. These are 2-day-old green turtles. So they'll be happy they're out of the egg after 2 months of incubation. So it's only been 2 days they've been here, meeting mates, making good friends. This is the size of the 2-day-old turtle that I'm holding in my hand here, the wrinkly old hand here. In the background is sea turtles swimming around. Luckily turtles don't bite. This is regarded as being the most beautiful turtle in the world, so this is killed to make shells, make necklaces, brooches. She's around 20 years old and highly endangered because of its colour. So if we just walk through the hatchery and rehabilitation area, we've got the ocean at the back here. And the turtles come up on this beach between November and April to hatch, generally when the seas aren't very rough. So they hatch on that beach there. They're collected by fishermen and then sold to this rehabilitation area because only 1 in 1,000 survive out in the ocean. They've got a much higher survival rate here. There's Neville in the background. So our entry fee went as a donation towards this hatchery. Some kids playing volleyball on the beach there. Volleyball is one of the major sports in Sri Lanka. Cricket and volleyball are the 2 major sports. Beautiful beaches along the coast here of Sri Lanka. Very few people are using the beach. It's the pandanus palm. There's fruit on it, but the fruit can't be eaten, it will poison you. Beautiful coastline of Sri Lanka. These are the enemies of the turtle, fishing nets in particular, and lures, plastic bottles. Just after 4:30 and we're just arriving at our next hotel in Bentota. That's the one. There's our hotel on the river. Very nice looking hotel. So So there's our vehicle parked outside, our little Suzuki, swinging around inside of the hotel. The lobby here, and looking up the doors and out towards the river. There's Neville standing on the jetty. So from the river we look back at the accommodation, the hotel here. Not sure which room I'm taking. Hopefully one of the rooms upstairs there. Here comes Avocado.
Yes, sir.
Thank you very much.
The people are catching the crabs from the here.
So this is my room in Bentota. It has a kitchen, functioning kitchen. There's the TV. It's got a double bed here, lounge, and a king size bed. Toilet with a view. Shower setup. And then there's the view outside